Hi, in this video I compared different modes in the Bildeform Bas Relief add-on for Blender for image to 3D model. I'll also tell you of a technique to improve the result. These results use a new mode in the add-on called convolutional. I'm using an image that I have hand shaded in Clip Studio Paint. You can see the process of me making that image if you watched the video I've uploaded recently called Lines to Shading Clip Studio Paint Time-Lapse. In Blender I have the Bildeform add-on installed already. The add-on works great with my computer. I'm running Windows 11 with an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Super with 6GB of VRAM and 32GB of RAM. It also works and has been tested on macOS and is supported for both Windows and Mac by the developer. I'm not sponsored to make this video, by the way, I just think it's great and I paid for it myself last year. I have an affiliate link in the video description if you'd like to support me and get the add-on. Pressing N on the keyboard brings up the sidebar panel menu where I can find the settings for the add-on and start the process. I will be showing the new convolutional mode in this section and the settings I used for the generation of the height and depth map from my dragon image. It's advised that the new convolutional mode works better with images than 3D models by the developer, but I have tried it with a 3D model and it does work. Images need to be high quality and at least 2K to get clean details. Good lighting and clear subject separation is advised. Harsh shadows or overexposed areas might confuse the estimation process. If the background is visible, avoid pure white backgrounds. I have found that a border around the image on a dark background helps capture more edge details. So these are the settings I'm using for the add-on in this example. I changed the Mode G2 settings to use the best model. I put the detail to the maximum at 3600 and I changed the mode to convolutional. I'm going to leave everything else the way it is. So then I have to press Generate Bas Relief. So this is the preview of the convolutional height map. It has captured a lot of detail. I can get even more detail than this. What I will do is export these maps, one for the height map and the depth map. So make sure you've exported your maps. You will need a height map, the depth map, and this curvature BGP is one I would have used before but is optional now. So all of these are optional with this new method I'm going to show you here. I've already exported these maps, so I will show you the process in Affinity next. This is my file where I've combined the different modes from Bildeform. I usually drag the height map from Bildeform into Affinity Photo first because it's a 16-bit image and the document needs to be in this mode for the final displacement images to look smooth in the 3D software. If it's 8-bit, the displacement will look stepped or jagged when you use it in the 3D software. So make sure your document is 16-bit grayscale. You can do this by going to Document, Convert Format, and it will show you which format you've got here. As long as you put your height map in first, it should be 16-bit because Bildeform exports as 16-bit images. If your document is in 8-bit, then you need to start with a 16-bit document because if you drag any 16-bit documents into an 8-bit document, they will become 8-bit. This mask will remove the bleed area from the border in the final displacement image. So this depth map is still dilated because I used this image with a border to generate the depth and height map, which is why I'll need to cut these areas out with the mask. I tried 3 different modes with this image in Blender with the Bildeform add-on to make the required height and depth maps for these examples. DGP mode, which stands for Discrete Geometry Processing, Kernel Approach, and the new convolutional. I have already prepared these examples, so I'm going to show you the process for doing that next. Another thing I did was to make a custom detail layer instead of using the BGP curvature from the add-on. I tried several methods to try and improve on this, but none worked as well as the BGP layer from the add-on. After a bit of experimentation, I decided that the curvature BGP looked more like a high-pass filter rather than a curvature, so I wondered if I could get a better result using that in Affinity. Using the original image, I add a layer behind it and fill that with hex 808080, which is mid-grey. I duplicate the original image, rasterize it, move it above my background layer that I just made, go to Filters, sharpen, high pass, and I've set it all the way to 100 pixels. So I want to set it to 100 because I get all of the detail and the graduations from it. So I press apply. I merge this down with the background layer. Then I go to filters, noise, denoise, and I've set it to these values. Then I go to filter, colors, erase white paper, and then I go to layer effects and add a Gaussian blur of 0.5. If it was a 4K image, I would probably set it to something like 1.5. Once I have the mask and my high pass detail layer, I can combine these with the depth and height map for the different modes. So I want to do that one at a time. I have an example here, so I can go through the process here with you. So this is the convolutional height map from Bildeform, and this is the depth map from Bildeform for that mode. I've put these in a group, and then I've put a black background layer outside of the group. The way I like to blend them is to have the height map at the bottom of the layer stack. The depth map is above that layer. I set the depth map to soft light. Then I put the high pass layer I just made above the depth and I set that to soft light. I put the mask above all of these layers in the group. I right click it and I rasterize it to mask. So that cuts out all of the bleed areas. Now I have a combined height map that I can export as a 16-bit grayscale PNG. I've done this process already for all the other modes, so next I'll be comparing them in Blender. This one is the convolutional that I made in Affinity Photo with the height and depth from Bildeform, and then with the high pass detail and the mask. If I compare this against the BGP curvature, it looks a lot smoother than this one. Another custom mix that I made was with the DGP height and depth maps from Bildeform. I didn't think this one worked as well as the convolutional. I've lost a few details up in this area and other places. The kernel result is actually quite nice. I like the way it has rounded out areas where I would expect it to be. It's preserved the details well too. It's a bit clearer if I rotate the light as to how the effect of the bas relief is working. I think the new convolutional mode is really good. It's brought out more details and it's got a very uniform depth across the model. It represents the values of my input image extremely well. The kernel on its own gives more of a rounded appearance to the dragon here. The depth isn't as uniform as the convolutional, so if it was uniform depth, the convolutional is definitely the one to go with. But this is still very nice. It represents the forms of the dragon very well. Another thing that you might find useful is getting a normal map from this. If I want to render this image out, then I can go into my render settings here, click workbench and set the matte cap to normal, set it to object. Make sure that the color management is sRGB and view standard, no look. For the output setting of the render, I've got it on 16-bit color channel here, and I've set pixel density to 300. So if I render that out, I can then save that as a normal map. Another thing I can do is import the height map as a mesh in 3D Coat. So in the top bump texture, I put the height map that I want to use, and then in the stencil texture, I could put the mask. For the basic thickness, I'll put 0, and for the bump thickness, I'll put it to 15. After a while it has done the job, I just need to switch to Sculpt Room, and this is a 3D model of the height map. So to make this usable, I need to convert it to voxels. I can click Subdivide before voxelation to keep some of the details, but in this case the geometry is quite dense, so I don't think that would be advisable. So I'm just going to press OK. Then I'll click space, and in this menu I have a smooth all option, and I will set that to 10. There is quite a lot of geometry, so this is going to take a little while. So now I have a nice smooth result, and I've still got most of the detail. In fact, it looks fine. Now I can export this mesh by going to File, Export, Export Selected Objects. It will tell me that I can use the reduction tool. This is for reducing the poly count before exporting. I'll set it to 85 and then press OK. So that will have exported my object. Now in Blender I can import that object. So this is the mesh from 3D Coat. It's still a very dense mesh, but this might be useful in 3D printing or to use in sculpt projects or something. I hope that was interesting and thank you for watching.